And tonight on Newsnight, more than 1,400 jobs at risk at Goldfields Damang mine as Minerals Commission mounts strong defense of its decision to reject mining lease extension request. Goldfields now has a Friday deadline to pack out of the mine or face legal action.
Their lease is gone. They did not declare any reserve. They did not put together any program for operation concerning the extension that they want. So this cannot be granted just like that. It cannot be business as usual going forward. Ghana deserves better.
We're here from the Mine Workers Union also tonight. Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies push for full takeover of waste management as they raise concerns over Zoomlion's failure to fulfill its mandate under the Sanitation Improvement Package. Details the Accra risk possible disease outbreak as the AMA declares all landfill sites full. Plus tonight, former Auditor General proposes a 1-week deadline for all public officials to declare their assets or risk removal from office.
The Constitution says before taking office. So if you didn't declare and you are assumed office, you have assumed office unconstitutionally. So what should we do to you? Move from office.
In business, we'll be hearing from the Minerals Commission on the way forward with respect to the current impasse between them and the Goldfields.
And in sports, former Black Starlets boss Laye Kinson urges local coaches to add value to themselves through education.
And later, utility prices are rising and so is the demand for greater customer service.
If it's not going to solve the problem of doom, so I don't think it's okay enough.
You'll be paying water bill, you'll be giving PDP and all that, and they should do something about it. Pressure will come more dada.
You want to increase electricity, right? Fine. How can you increase the price without giving me the better quality to enjoy?
I want to hear from you as reactions pouring from consumers to PLC's fresh round of tariff increases for both electricity and water. How will this increase affect prices of other goods and services? We'll speak to the Association of Ghana Industry on News 9055111997. Now, Goldfields is tonight facing a race against time to pack out of its Damang mine, where the jobs of more than 1,400 workers are now in jeopardy after the Minerals Commission rejected its application to extend its mining lease. And the global mining giant has until Friday to pack out. In the last couple of hours, we're hearing from the Minerals Commission. Listen to its Deputy Chief Executive, Isaac Tando.
I mean, the application that was put in by Goldfields did not have a program of operations and did not also have a reserve. I mean, if we go back to their integrated annual report for 2024, they did not declare any reserve for the Damang mine. So, I mean, upon which basis are we extending the lease for? So the application is not complete. I mean, there is so much that needed to be made known.
But in their statement, Mr. Tando, if you could permit me, they did say that they've met all the statutory requirements for an extension. So how do we reconcile the two?
So I'm not sure. I don't know what they are talking about because we give leases based on a program of operation, which includes your reserve that you have. And if you don't have reserve, why do we extend a mining lease for you? And you can go back to their integrated annual report, which specifically did not state any mining reserve for the Damang mine. So I'm not sure what they are talking about.
But again, what has influenced this nationalization drive?
Yeah, so we've given a lease to somebody for 30 good years. And we've even supported the person with a development agreement. The development agreement actually helps in reduction of their tax liability to the country. They also get a lot of exemptions on most of the things that is being used by the mine, like fuel. A lot of tariffs are taken off because of this development agreement. The government has actually supported this operation for the last 30 years, and the lease is gone and they want business as usual. That cannot happen. I mean, the TAQA, which is the biggest asset in the whole Goldfields portfolio, is still running. So it's neither here nor there when somebody wants to say government is going after them. No, we are applying the laws and we are making sure that whatever we do is in the interest of the nation. Take me as a salesman, and we've given a list to somebody for 30 years. We need to get a better proposition to support, the people of Ghana. We deserve better, and that is the tangent we are going.
But at least from what you know, per the statement released by the firm, they say they are interested in the mine. So they've indicated their plans to push for an engagement. Would that work?
Yes. So when we met with the minister together with Goldfields, he gave them the opportunity to say, if you have any better proposition, go and sit down with Minerals Commission for them to agree that, yes, this is good for Ghana. And then we can engage further. Nothing has been brought forward. So as far as I'm concerned, their list is gone. They did not declare any reserve. They did not put together any program for operation concerning the extension that they want. So this cannot be granted just like that. It cannot be business as usual going forward. Ghana deserves better.
So you can confirm to us that as it stands now, they've not engaged you on that?
As far as I'm concerned, no.
Do I get the impression that the door is shut on this issue about Goldfields getting the Damang mines back?
We are a listening government. We are still talking. But as I said, any decision taken on this will be in the interest of Ghana, not anybody else. We deserve better.
And as you've withdrawn the license from them, has any organization or whatsoever, the extractive mining firm, shown any interest in it?
Not yet, not at the moment.
So that there is the Deputy Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission speaking to us a short while ago on the situation with the Damang mine and Goldfields, putting the jobs of some 1,400 workers at risk tonight. The company is currently going to a phase to try and meet that Friday deadline. They have a statement out. I'll be bringing you details of that pretty shortly. We've also been hearing from the Ghana Chamber of Mines, and they are demanding transparency in the way government is handling this particular matter. Listening to the acting head of the chamber, Ahmed Natoma.
So the whole industry was not engaged on this. Was like between Goldfields and the government. So maybe there were some discussions with Goldfields, but the other members were not aware of what was going on. So in terms of lease renewals, all those who have leases coming up for renewal are very anxious. So they will like to know what government's position is and what is the way forward, so that they can also prepare themselves for the.
Well, in all this, what kind of support or guidance is the Chamber offering Goldfields and affected stakeholders in this transition, and what recommendations does the Chamber have for ensuring stability and investor confidence in the sector going forward?
Yes, we would like our members all to continue to follow the tenets of the agreement, and also encourage government to let us have an open discussion on this. Once we can open discussion, everybody understands that this is where government is going. It helps in Ghana, this is where we are going. But when there's even though it's happened to one mine, the next mine is in line and saying, what about me? What will happen when it's my turn? So we're looking forward to further engagement with the government to see how we can discuss this in an open and transparent and fast manner. Investor out that they anticipate Ghana protected and everything along.
Well, Goldfield has a statement now, as I indicated. My colleague Papani Ashali is in the studio with me with details from that statement. In the interview that the Minerals Commission Deputy CEO gave us, he questions the application that Goldfields put in, the quality of the application, and whether it addresses the fundamental requirements that they were expecting. Goldfields has given us some clarity about when they actually put in the application.
Well, Evans, according to this statement, it tells us that as far back as December 2024, that will be almost 4 months ago, when they put in an application for the Damang main mining lease. That's what they tell us in this particular statement, that as far back as then, they have started to ask for an extension of this lease that he had.
We'll tell you a bit more about what we know about the contents of the application when they put it before the Minerals Commission, but also subsequently met the minister. But in this statement, he also said in roadmap what they are now planning to do. I meet that hard 18th April, Friday deadline for them to pack out of the mine.
Well, Evan, so what we understand so far is that at least they are not just taking the response from the Minerals Commission just like that. They are engaging, and what they use is that engaging extensively relevant authorities since they received the rejection notice to confirm that the lease extension application has fulfilled all the statutory requirements for such extension. It goes on to say that the government, what they understand, has instructed those to cease operations and vacate the lease area by the 18th of April, Friday, on the expiry of this lease. Goes on finally to say that Goldfields is therefore prepared for that, and that to safely and responsibly also cease operations and ensure that the safety and security of the people and those living in the high-risk operations. The company says that they are not done, although they are preparing to leave the place by the said deadline. They are also seeking some more engagement, and this time not just with the Minerals Commission, also they're involving some more government officials to secure the best outcome for all stakeholders here. Okay. And that they will also be monitoring and will also update their workers who largely will be affected by this.
And now the workers are beginning to speak up. We'll hear from the Mine Workers Union pretty shortly. The Minerals Commission had made the point that the fundamental reason why they rejected the lease application, the mining lease application, was because the application itself did not address the fundamental issue of program of operation in it. But what we understand from those close to the conversations that have happened between government, Minerals Commission and Goldfields is that Goldfields itself, as they've confirmed in this statement they put out now globally that has been published on all international wires, is that they put an application first on December 12th, 2024. And when they did that, they also to begin restart operations there in 2025. That is this year. Yes, they concede that in 2023 they stopped mining there because of the 5 years that they had projected. Everybody knew that as far as the life of mine is concerned. But they have since then been doing feasibility studies, and they have come to some form of a development arrangement that will allow them to commence operations in the Damang mine from 2025. And so they were looking forward to a renewal of the lease. This is something that they indicate that you take for granted in terms of what you do with the mine. Considering that this is a mine that they've been running for more than 2 decades, because of the plan that they had, that they believe it was good enough to go for a further 8 years, extending the life of mine for further 8 years, beginning 2025. They're looking forward to this. From all indications, those close to these conversations tell us that they're pretty surprised at the turn of events. But mainly now, the objective is trying to meet the Friday deadline safely and getting the workers out of there safely, because the Minerals Commission is very clear. If you stay there after Friday, you will be in breach of the minerals regulations and will treat you as breaching the law, and the law will come for you. So they want to respect that. They are a global entity, a mining giant indeed, and so they respect that whilst they continue with the conversations with government. I want to bring in right now Abdul Mumin, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union. Abdul, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. How are the workers responding to this kind of events?
Good evening, Evans, and good evening to our listeners. I must say that this announcement came pretty impromptu, and naturally, anybody who never anticipated this will be quite alarmed about it. Employees are currently very apprehensive, very concerning about the current developments. Obviously, from the 18th, they are not sure what the way forward is, and so on the worker side, it's a big deal for us and for the union.
Did you have any heads up at all that this was coming?
Not at all. I mean, the union did not have any heads up. Neither did workers have any heads up. But I must say that I think that the engagements towards the extension of the lease was one that was happening between Goldfields and the government. And so I believe that they were quite confident about the extension, but for the last minute decision by the government. But let me say that leases, we all know that in a lease agreement, there are usually two options: either a reversion or there is a renewal to extend. And so the expectation is one of the two. And so if government thinks that the lease has expired, and for that matter, the concession should reverse government, that is one of the options under the current as far as the current issue is concerned. But there's to negotiate and have an extension of the lease. And this must be done against the backdrop of investments that Goldfields has made over the years. Lease has expired. We can just draw that lease without recourse to the concerns that Goldfields. They've made huge investments into the Damang mine, and for many years now they have been running that mine. Like Riley indicated, along the line there was a dip in production, and obviously it takes a while for them to mobilize money and put into exploration. The issues about reserves, resources, obviously there's huge potential in terms of the resource position of the Damang mine, but the reserve will require some exploration to be done so that you can convert that into reserve. But be that as it may, I believe that an opportunity for the government to engage Goldfields, at least give them some period within which they must present a convincing program of work, so that at least whatever extensions have to be done will be done. Because at the end of the day, the stakeholders involved here, whose livelihoods are currently at stake. And it's important that the state approaches this matter a bit more cautiously.
And that is the central point, is it not? I mean, from what I understand, there are 1,471 workers making up of employees and contractors. So that's the workforce at Damang alone. What will happen now if nothing happens between now and Friday when they have to pack out? This is not the first time a mine is having to abandon its operations at a particular mine. What do you expect should happen now?
Well, as it stands now, maybe we may have to, we may have to go to the ministry and by extension the government, for our salaries and for that matter our incomes, and to ensure that our livelihoods are kept alive. Beyond that, I believe that what is currently before us is a matter that can be resolved. This is not something that we must, take positions and create a lot more problems for ourselves. I mean, the investor community is watching, the investor community is listening. And as the acting CEO of the chamber said, I mean, all the other companies are watching. They are wondering, what's going to happen to me if my lease runs to an end or it expires? Can I get an extension? And this is not too good for business. It's important that at least we give some confidence to the market, get investors to appreciate the fact that, look, you can come to Ghana, you can do business without any fear of a regulator deciding whether to renew your lease or extend your lease. And it's important that the government approaches it in that light, rather than being combative or rather than being ruthless in terms of whether or not they should extend the mining lease or not.
Government explains that they are looking internal. When I say government, I'm referring to the Minerals Commission. The objective now that they've rejected the lease extension, is to look internal, as in, and the deputy chief executive makes the point that Goldfields obviously is a multinational. They've done this for 30 years. They've enjoyed, he says, pegs, and that is time now for a local entity to sort of supervise that for Ghanaians by Ghanaians. What do you make of that?
Well, as it stands now, what is the stopgap arrangement? Like you rightly asked, I mean, what happens to the plight of the workers? What happens to the current state of the mine? How is it going to be managed? Even if you have an intention of localizing or nationalizing that mine, what is your strategy? I mean, we have a history behind us. I mean, I recall in the 80s when we had the State Gold Mining Corporation, it came with its own issues here and there. I think that we need to learn our lessons properly so that whilst we go on that tangent of a possible nationalization of some of the mines, we know how we approach it so that we don't repeat the same mistakes that we repeated under the State Gold Mining Corporation. I can assure you some of the experiences within that period are not experiences that you want to see today. So government's intentions may be in the right direction, but it requires us to build a system, put in the needed structures that would ensure that the all objectives of a policy direction of culture will inure to the benefits of the country. It shouldn't just be a situation in party individuals here and there, and then they end up running down the mines and creating problems than we probably had.
You say mining individuals. Are you suspecting that that's what government is planning with the Damang mine?
Well, I mean, that is one of the options under the current circumstances. It is possible that has an intention of giving out the mine to an individual within the government circles. Did the same mistakes, because you cannot just refuse the extension of a mining lease without recourse to all the other stakeholders that are linked to the mine. As we speak today, Goldfields has made the decision. What happens to the workers beyond the 18th of April? There are many contractors that are working for Goldfields who make a living from the activities that, by way of services that they offer to Goldfields. And so if these decisions are taken and they are not well thought through, what you do is that you end up creating a lot more hardship and problems for everybody who is linked to that mine. And that is why it's extremely important that, we are cautious in terms of the way we approach it. Is the reason why I've raised the point that there's still an opportunity for Goldfields to search with the government, engage the government. If there are any new terms and conditions that should be manifested or that should be part of the new mining lease that will be extended to Goldfields, government has an opportunity to negotiate all of that, especially when there's a talk about Ghana not benefiting from its mineral resources. This is an opportunity for us to sit together, negotiate an arrangement where, the outcome is more beneficial to us.
Thank you very much. That there is Abdul Mumin, is the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union. I want to bring in right now the Executive Director of the Center for Extractives and Development Africa, Samuel Bakwing. Samuel, what's your take on government decision to reject the mining lease application from Goldfields for its Damang mine operations?
Evans, good afternoon. Good evening. For me, the first thing I would mention is just let's put our mind back to potentially most of the arbitration that we have been to that Ghana has lost. The first question I ask is, did Goldfields satisfy all the requirements? Because if you look at the law in Section 44, renewal of mining lease, it looks like the minister may not even have the freedom to reject. Because if you look at 44.3, it says, on the application duly made under subsection 1, and if the holder has materially complied with the obligations imposed by this act with respect to the holding of an activity of the term of the lease on conditions specified in writing, that particular statement shall mean that the minister may not be able to reject without certain reasons that inures to the holder of the license having, let's say, breached the termination conditions.
Well, according to the Deputy Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, the application lacked the program of operations and stated reserves, and that's why they took the decision to reject it.
Yes, in terms of the program of operations, it's required that they would have added that to this application. It is very important. And then if you look at even Goldfields themselves a report, obviously it looks like they may have probably not to seek for renewal. That explicitly. That's the company's own decision, because in the annual kind of report, it looks like they didn't state Damang as a potential mine that may continue. And over the years, they were processing a lot of stockpiles and not really doing a lot of new mining. But that may not be part of the termination. For me, one thing I want to say is that if the minister is rejecting this, they should follow the right procedure, because a lot of the arbitration we have, company, if they want, they can take to that line. If we, Ghana, wants to start managing some of these things, or unless we are bringing in new investors, but if you want it, if you are looking internally, to get Ghanaian companies, which we know we have to put in, brother had said earlier.
And very briefly on the subject of government's new policy around ownership of mines, the Minerals Commission says this is part of a broader agenda for government to assert greater control over its mineral wealth. Is that a good policy?
We have seen it before, where we nationalize the mines, and it leads to a lot of inefficiencies and costs. For me, I said it, I think, on other station, that if you want to do this, in the interim, we may want to seek service contracts, getting people to even manage them. That is, we will still own it 100%, but we bring companies to come who have experience to manage the mine. Because I don't think we have put in the necessary structures to manage our own mine. We could do a service contract with management, environmental management, the mining itself. Of course, most of the mines are already contracted out to service companies who does the actual mining, apart from the overall management of it, which is done by the companies. But I guess you can get service contract. But for me, let me sound the alarm again. The minister's rejection or the Minerals Commission rejection, does it follow the legislation? Is it not something that will go to arbitration and be embarrassed probably once more?
Thank you very much, Samuel Beck, Executive Director, Center for Extractives and Development Africa. If you're one of those 1,400 plus workers who may be affected, I want to hear from you. 055-1111-997. We heard from the General Secretary of the Mine Workers Union, who says that after Friday they may have to queue at the Mines and Natural Resources Ministry, the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, to demand their salaries. I want to hear from you. Are you one of those affected? 055-1111-997. This is Newsnight. It's a live your Newsnight. George Affe is here with business. Hello, George.
Well, Evans here, hello. And coming up, the government reject accusations of high-handedness over rejection of Goldfield's request to extend lease for its Damang mines. And Chief Executive of GOIL, Edward Barr, reveals plans to enter into the electronic vehicle market. We'll be getting you more details on that one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, Sinter's tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal. And let's now settle for the details. We'll be hearing from government is rejecting accusations of high-handedness over how it has handled its situation when it comes to the gold fields and Damang issues. We'll be getting you more details on that one, where government is actually rejecting accusations of high-handedness over how it has handled a decision to reject Goldfield's request of extension of its Damang mines. Now, this follows criticisms over how the country has handled the whole mining lease with Goldfields. Let's hear from Eric Tando. He's the Deputy Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission.
The Takwa, which is the biggest asset in the whole Goldfields portfolio, is still running. So it's neither here nor there when somebody wants to say government is going after them. No. We are applying the laws and we are making sure that whatever we do is in the interest of the nation. Take me as a salesman, and we've given a lease to somebody for 30 years. We need to get a better proposition to support, the people of Ghana. We deserve better, and that is the tangent we are going.
Of course, that is the acting Deputy Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission. Let's still stay on that sector because that is the Chamber of Mines also expressed disappointment over how government has handled the issues. It maintained that it will be moving soon to engage government over its plan to nationalize some mining firms in the country. Now, this was after government declined request by Goldfields to extend the mining lease of the Damang mines. The Chamber again noted that they are surprised about this action by government. Ahmed Tongman is the acting Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Mines.
All these things need to be discussed. If government wants to do something in the industry, it's good that they inform the industry players ahead of time. They can discuss and also hear their views. But the suddenness of it is what is creating the anxiety. Nationalization of mines hasn't worked well for anybody. We used to have the state gold mine, which was run by Ghana. Ghanaians don't work out as foreign, and it's going to work far. So once they get bigger share of what foreign investment, it's all part of the space that look at the space and see the conflict and working together with it, still have to help Ghana part of the industry if they want. So, but at the moment, it's taking a word right, and that's where it comes from.
Damang Togma is the acting chief executive of the Ghana Chamber of Mines. The acting group chief executive and managing director of oil marketing firm Go, Edward Bauer, has revealed plans to make significant move into the electronic vehicle market. Now, speaking at the Invest in Africa Energy's Ghana event, Mr. Bauer emphasized Go's recognition of the growing importance of the electronic vehicle industry and expressed the company's readiness to explore the vast opportunity that the sector presents.
If we were to go to the database of the EVME, that's a body that licenses vehicles in this country, you will realize that the number of electric vehicles in this country are now increasing at a very good rate. And therefore, GOEL must stand ready to tap into this market. Already we have the network. All we need to do is to get the right partner to provide charging stations in these areas and feeds into the government's policy of green transition.
Edward Bauer is the acting chief executive of GOEL Ghana PLC. Now, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Kesel Atuforsen, has been elected chairman of the Board of Governors of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development. The announcement was made during the 23rd annual general meeting of the Board of Governors meeting held in Banjul, Gambia. Now, though Dr. Forson could not attend the meeting in person, his message of appreciation and vision was delivered by the Deputy Minister of Finance, Thomas Nyako Ampem.
We are able to
large corporates as well as small and medium-sized businesses are expected to experience improved financial advisory services following the launch of BDO, the fifth largest global accounting firm in Ghana. The launch follows the successful admission of SCG chartered accountants into the BDO Group network. Speaking to Joy Business at the official outdooring, senior tax partner Edward Boateng explained the move is to offer in-depth experience across the world to the Ghanaian market.
We are able to draw on the competencies and resources of the network, knowledge, procedures and processes, which are all aimed, like you heard, to improve and keep quality, because quality is fundamental. If you provide all this service, regulators are becoming more rigorous and quality is the best one. So one of the things that we do by joining BDO to have access to a number of processes and procedures that will continue to help us improve our quality of service across the lines, audit, tax, advisory, etc. And what you do when you join a network is you leverage and benefit from those processes, knowledge that you can draw worldwide. So even as we are in Ghana, if we get a job that we are unable to do, we can always draw on the worldwide network of people. Like you heard, BDO is in close to 166 countries and jurisdictions. So we have a whole head of organization that we can draw resources, competencies and expertise from.
And that is senior tax partner Edward Boateng speaking at the successful admission of SCG chartered accountants into the global BDO global network. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
Have your Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. And this one from Musa Abato says the government is right not to renew the Damang gold mine lease. Steps must be taken, however, to reduce the impact on workers and community through job support and transition plans. Ni in Dakuman says Goldfields has taken enough from the ground and from Ghana. It's time for Ghanaians to own their wealth. Government, we are for your decision. We're truly resetting Ghana, he says. And Abochi Philip says, in fact, the Boko crisis is becoming too much. I urge opinion leaders, they should put the differences aside. And then you also have this one from Nane Kwama, who says, why is the NDC government bent on destroying Goldfields Company? What do they know, which we do not know, to the extent that they are now renew the lease for the Damang mine. A few of your messages there on the stories we've looked at. Let's do sports now and Kranting is here with the latest.
Let's go straight into the stories, Evans. And Inter allies have publicly admitted for the first time that their players were complicit in the match-fixing scandal that rocked the 2020-21 Ghana Premier League season. The club, together with Ashanti Gold, were demoted from the Ghana Premier League after being found guilty for the infamous match-fixing scandal. Speaking to Joy Sports, Inter Allies Technical Director Willie Kluche confirmed the involvement of the players, describing their internal findings as disappointing.
I was disappointed in that group of players that they will use their future in gambling. The playing body went to gambling with their match.
Did you believe that the players were involved in some match fixing?
It's the players who told us. They told us
that they were involved
this
in
one.
match fixing.
Yes, this one bet, including with our team manager. So we have to sack the whole team. At the end of the day, I went to the disciplinary committee meeting.
So the FA was not wrong in demoting the allies, were they?
We were not the cost. It's the players.
You heard Inter Allies Technical Director Willie Kluche speaking there. Moving on, former Black Starlets boss Lai Kinson has urged local coaches to add value to themselves through education. According to him, the foreign-based players tend to pay more attention to foreign coaches because of their superior knowledge of the game.
It shouldn't be what he has on paper. It should be the way. This is what I've noticed with our local coaches. The way they behave around the foreign players when they come down, the way they communicate with them, even their work, the way they work, no player will believe you because will trust you because they level. So listen to you well. They will listen to foreign coaches. They leave the local coaches. So it all comes to most of the local coaches have to make sure they educate themselves well so that when the foreign players comes down, when they see your work, your coaching points, the information you passing it on, with them they understand, oh wow, you know what you are doing. Then they will listen to you.
You heard former Black Stars midfielder Lai Kinson speaking there, bringing an into sports. Back to you, Evans.
Thank you very much. Still live, your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM. Tonight, Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies are making a strong case for government to allow them to take full charge in managing their waste. Currently, the Sanitation Improvement Package contract signed between government and the assemblies through the under the previous administration has ceded waste management to the assemblies to manage waste, but also under Zoom Lion. But during the working visit of Parliament's Committee on Sanitation and Water Resources, the Assembly say Zoom Lion has failed to deliver on the terms of the contract, especially lifting of waste containers over the period. Listen to the Director for Waste Management at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Engineer Solomon Noy.
Yes, that should have been the case. We should have sat through the agreement if there were any reviews, and if we also have some observations, we'll give it. But then what happens is the other way around. They bring the agreement. Sometimes, most cases, they will get the chief executive and meet at that end. When it's time for the coordinating directors and then the waste management heads, then we'll see a lot of loopholes. By that time, the agreement had been signed. And in this particular case, that's what happened at the RCC. When we had met them, we had even signed. In fact, here, we even delayed because I had to listen to the concerns of my waste management director, who indicated that we should look for certain things in the agreement. For example, the schedule. How many equipments are the waste management operator bringing? I mean, the auditors have been asking. But this time, there was no mention of it. So we raised that. In fact, at that meeting, it became obvious that they should have met us before the signing would have been done. But I only had the option of just signing, because after I was told I'm just a witness. And so whether I sign or not, the agreement is being signed. So that's what unfortunately happens.
Then we see the container supplied by Zoom Lion 8 instead of 15 if we are to go by the current SIP contract. Next slide, please. So this is just a snapshot of what you see if you should go to these sites. As at this morning, Kolebu bus stop. This is how the situation, the container is there, and this is how the site is clean. But those you see there are just remnants of whatever was left. Next slide.
Well, James Aveji was with the Parliamentary Select Committee, joins me in the studio right now. So the assemblies, they want to control waste management themselves. But how exactly are they planning to do this?
Well, Evans, according to them, this contract actually been executed by the Zoomlion company, who oversees the work, taking the assembly, who are supposed to make sure the communities are clean, taking the work from them, and so they are unable to answer for why some of these waste containers are not lifted and the streets not swept. And so they want government to sort of revoke the contract and give it to the assembly directly to implement this, so they can be able to answer questions directly on this.
But there's a bigger problem with landfill sites. What's happening with landfill sites, particularly within the AMA?
So the AMA is telling us that all the landfill sites in Accra are currently full, and so they would have to travel all the way to the eastern region, Sawam, to go and dump refuse there. Then I put a question: if this is the case, do we have a disease outbreak on our hands? This is the response from the director we heard from earlier.
But it is not far, because it is not an engineered landfill site. There is no leachate control. So for instance, if it rains, the leachate from that dam site finds its way into depressions and rivers, and they come back to us in the city. The site is not close to scavengers. You see a lot of scavengers there, not scavengers, but waste pickers, sorry. They don't like using the word scavengers. They are waste pickers from Niger, Burkina Faso, all over our neighboring countries, scavenging and picking recyclables. All the hospital and healthcare waste find its way there, and they mingle with it, and they come to town with us. And so you can understand how come we have a cyclical, perennial, cholera, typhoid. If we have to manage, if you ask me, the way to go for government is to get an intermediate treatment facility, such as a state-of-the-art waste incineration plant.
What about the committee itself?
Well, the committee chairman, John Oti Bless, believes that they would have to have an engagement with the waste management service provider to see the clear way forward. Even if it comes that they would have to recommend that the contract be put on hold while they review it and take a final decision on this.
Has clauses, and there are implications in suspending or cancelling government contract. So the only thing is that we'll hammer in the points, draw government's attention, meet the service provider. As a committee, we're going to invite the service provider. We'll meet with him and caution and make it clear to him that he should put his feet down and begin to change his ways. So we believe that things will change from now on. Once we are on the ground with you guys, we'll make a lot of impact. Yes.
So recommendation for suspension, you will not consider until you meet and hear from the service provider.
Exactly, but I don't think the suspension is the way to go. He's a Ghanaian. Everybody will have our shortfalls, because one of his complaints is that he's not being paid for several months and he has not been paid. So if you give someone a contract and you don't pay, me as I sit here, I'm a businessman myself. I do government projects. If you are working for government and you are not paid, what are you going to depend on? You understand? So sometimes we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. The only thing is to engage him and discuss the issue with him, find a way forward. And I believe a solution will be arrived at.
It's a live your news night on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, tragedy struck the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, on March 21st when a devastating fire ravaged the Adum PZ market, leaving more than 2,000 traders reeling from the loss of their livelihoods. 3 weeks after the misfortune, the traders returned to their trading spaces, but the conditions that led to the fire persist, setting the stage for another catastrophe. In the first edition of JoyNews' feature, Breaking the Fire Cycle, Nana Boakye Yadom visited the market and filed this report.
Things are burning. People who have shops here, including the youth, are losing their money. It was like any other Friday dawn at the Adum PZ market in Kumasi until a sudden alarming sight turned the commercial area into a scene of chaos. The fire started at 4 a.m. with an explosion from the top floor of a story building. Within minutes, the flames spread rapidly across the market, consuming shops and goods in its path. I have lost millions of cedis from this fire this morning. This is very worrying. We are losing everything. We need the fire service to come to our aid right now. Everything is burning. Everything is burning. The arrival of firefighters was a moment of hope for those witnessing the blazing fire, but the situation quickly turned grim. Access of the fire tender to clustered container shops was severely restricted due to the market's cramped layout. Without proper paths for the fire trucks to reach the epicenter of the blaze, the fire quickly spread unchecked.
Fire service
With investigations ongoing, the traders pieced together the potential causes of the blaze, and among the primary suspects are the use of gas cylinders, faulty electrical appliances, and the intermittent power cuts.
So you guys not so much. Some people they have collected so many loans. Please, why is it that the fire service you cannot just off the fire for us?
The billowing smoke and the crackling sounds of burning structures could be seen. President John Mahama and local authorities visited the scene, worried about the outbreak.
Explosion be cause gas cylinders explode.
We have to carefully look at our market structure. The sounds you hear are explosions of gas cylinders. We shouldn't be cooking at the markets.
So gas cooker
The Ashanti Regional Commander of the Fire Service, ACFO2 Peter Tete, bemoaned the lack of equipment by fire service to curb fire. He indicated that over 417 fires have occurred in the first quarter of 2025.
Available data shows that the command has recorded 417 fires in the first quarter of 2025, as against 444 in the year 2024 within the same period.
3 weeks after the fire, many of the affected vendors have returned to the marketplace, hoping to restart their lives. At the moment, we have gone to make sales because we need money to feed our children. However, checks indicate that the central business district of Edum PZ remains the same, overcrowded, poorly ventilated, and lacking any significant changes to prevent another fire. In an already cramped market, these conditions form a ticking time bomb, one that many say is waiting to explode again. The Edum PZ is indeed a wake-up call. The tragic event not only exposed the hazardous conditions of the market, but also highlighted the glaring gaps in fire prevention infrastructure and safety protocols. While traders, government officials, and experts call for swift action, the reality is that these issues have persisted for years. The hope is that this tragedy will finally prompt the necessary changes to safeguard lives and businesses in Kumasi and other markets across the country.
For JoyNews, my name is Nana Bwachidan Kwayado, Kumasi.